All right, let's talk about carbs. For years, they've been public enemy number one in the fitness world, right? We've all heard it. They make you fat, they're addictive, you should just cut them out completely. But what if it's not that simple? Today, we're going to crack open Chapter 10 of Jeff Nippard and Chris Baracat's Guide to Body Recomposition, and we're going to solve the mysteries of carbohydrates once and for all. We'll learn how to actually use them to build muscle and lose fat at the same time.
I mean, this quote right here pretty much sums up the fear, doesn't it? But seriously, are we really putting a sweet potato in the same league as heroin? Come on. This is the exact tension we're going to unpack. We're going to move past all the hype and fear-mongering and get right into the science to figure out what carbs really are and how they actually work inside our bodies.
Okay, so to really get a handle on carbs, we've got to go back to basics, back to their structure. Because here's the thing, not all carbs are created equal, and the biggest difference between them comes down to how they're built. So let's break them down into two main camps, simple and complex.
Think of simple carbs, like sugar, as just one or two little sugar molecules linked together. Because their structure is so, simple, your body can break them down and absorb them incredibly fast. Now, complex carbs, on the other hand, are these long, complicated, branching chains of sugars. Your body has to work way harder to break all those bonds, and that means you get a much slower, more sustained release of energy. And here's a cool little bonus. Because your body's doing all that extra work, you actually burn more calories just digesting them.
And then we have fiber. Oh man, fiber is the unsung hero of the carb world, for sure. It's a special type of complex carb that our bodies can't even fully digest, but that's actually a great thing. It's absolutely vital for keeping your gut healthy, it helps with absorbing other nutrients, and this is huge for anyone trying to stick to a diet. It keeps you feeling full, which makes staying on track way, way easier.
So, simple versus complex. That's a great place to start, right? It gives us a basic framework. But if we really want to get strategic, if we want to optimize our nutrition for body recomposition, we need a more powerful tool, and that tool is the glycemic index.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We know there's a difference in how fast they digest, but does that actually make a difference when it comes to building muscle and losing fat? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. It absolutely does, and it all comes down to how your body handles two things, energy and hunger.
So what is this glycemic index? People call it the GI. It's basically just a ranking system, a scale from 1 to 100 that tells you how quickly a food is going to spike your blood sugar. A higher number means a faster spike. Now, this is super important. It's not a list of good foods and bad foods. Think of it more like a tool to help you predict how different carbs are going to hit your system.
So here's how the scale breaks down. It's pretty simple, really. Anything over 70, we call that high glycemic. Down in the middle, from 55 to 69, that's your medium glycemic stuff. And then anything below 55 is considered low glycemic. Let's make this real with some foods you actually eat.
Okay, so check this out. White rice, a staple for a lot of us, clocks in around 72. That's high GI. A ripe banana, that's sitting around 51, so it's kind of in that low to medium zone. And a sweet potato, a classic healthy carb, is down at 46, definitely low glycemic. See? When you put actual foods to the numbers, it starts to make a lot more sense.
Okay, but here's maybe the most important takeaway of this whole thing. Context is king. You almost never just eat a plain bowl of rice, right? You have it with chicken, with some veggies, and when you add protein, fat, and especially fiber to that meal, it completely changes the game. It slows everything down, blunts that blood sugar spike, and lowers the GI of the entire meal. So you can't just look at one food in isolation.
All right, so we've got the science down. Simple versus complex, glycemic index, cool. But how do we actually use this stuff? How do we put it to work to help us in the gym and in the kitchen? Well, it all boils down to two key areas, managing your energy levels and controlling your hunger. And this story from Jeff Nippard himself is the perfect real-world example. He's talking about how he'd be in the middle of a workout and just crash, feeling weak, dizzy. What was happening? Well, his pre-workout meal, which was high in white rice, was sending his blood sugar to the moon, and then bam, it would come crashing right back down mid-set. So what was the fix? It was so simple, but so smart. Two things. First, he added another meal earlier in the day to make sure his energy stores were topped off, and second, the big one, he just swapped that high GI white rice for a lower GI option like whole wheat bread. That's it. Problem solved. It just goes to show how a tiny, strategic tweak can make a world of difference for your performance. So that's the energy side of things. But GI has another superpower, and it's just as important, if not more so, for body recomposition.
And that's hunger management. Come on, we've all been there. If you're fighting off cravings 24/7, trying to stick to a diet feels pretty much impossible.
You have to hear about this study from 1999. It's wild. They took 3 groups of people and gave them meals that were either low, medium, or high on the glycemic index. Then they just said, okay, for your next meal, eat as much as you want. And the results? Absolutely staggering. The group that ate the high GI meal, the ones who got that big blood sugar spiking crash, they went on to eat about 650 more calories in their next meal. 650. That is not a small number. So the takeaway here is super practical and you can start using it today. If you build most of your meals around low glycemic carbs, you're going to avoid those crazy energy roller coasters. And what does that mean? It means you'll feel fuller for longer, it means you'll have more stable energy, and it makes sticking to your calorie goals 1,000 times easier.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. With all this new knowledge, what does this actually look like on your plate? Let's wrap this all up with a simple, actionable playbook of some of the best carb sources for body recomposition.
Here's a great place to start. You really can't go wrong focusing on these. We're talking whole grains, tons of different vegetables, eat the rainbow, legumes like beans and lentils, and of course, fruits. These guys are generally lower glycemic, and they're just jam-packed with fiber and all the vitamins and minerals your body is craving to perform its best.
So let's end with this one final thought, a real shift in perspective. For so long, we've been caught in this trap of asking, is this carb good or is it bad? But that's the wrong question. A high GI carb might be exactly what you need right after a brutal workout to replenish your energy fast. A low GI carb is perfect for sustained energy a few hours before you train. So what if, instead, you started asking, what is this carb good for? Once you make that mental switch, that's when you really start to unlock the power of nutrition.